Welcome to Let It Fly Show. I am Michael Severe. My partner in crime, Josh Jones, is off this week. We want to welcome you inside the Let It Fly Sports Bar downtown location. We'll tell you more about what's happening out in Elkhorn in a second, but we appreciate everybody who tunes in and checks out the podcast every week. Easy ways to help us. You can go on YouTube when you're watching it, subscribe and like the podcast. Maybe give us some comments as well. That's great. Or if there's any other way that you're listening to it, just like and subscribe that as well. It really helps out the show. We really appreciate it. We got a good show for you this week. We're joined by kind of a blast from the past. Not that far of a past, but a past. David Horne, former Nebraska I-back, of course, ended up going to Northern Iowa. Had a really good career there, but was an outstanding running back at Omaha Central and is now on the coaching staff there at Omaha Central. We'll chat with him about his career, his kids who become very successful, including his son who just graduated with my son over at Central this past May and got a great scholarship and has gone on to do great things in college. But we'll chat with David Horne coming up. Of course, as always, podcast is brought to you by Bud Light. No matter where you are, whether you're here at the Let It Fly Sports Bar, you're in your man cave, you're in a basement, you're in a garage, wherever you are, reminder, it is a great time and a great place to get a drink. Matter of fact, easy buckets, easy touchdowns, and easy drinking, easy to drink and easy to enjoy. It is Bud Light. We appreciate Bud Light for being our sponsor. And of course, you want an elevated sports bar experience, looking for great food, including your Thursday night special, which is the steak. It's the steak and fries. And the person running the show, the king, loves the steak, loves it. And so I'm a rare guy. My wife and I both like it rare. Medium rare, I think, is as rare as I would like to eat it. And I would say this is pretty close to medium rare. That's pretty good. Look at that pink. It's a little bit closer to medium because where the pink is, but and check it out. They did a great char on it. It's very affordable. The special is on Thursday nights. Every Thursday night, the special is the steak and fries. And I'm sorry, King, I know this is for you, but I'm going to have to eat a little piece and chew on air. The key to this thing, honestly, is the fact that they have that great oven back there that is like a broiler. So it tastes like it's grilled on an outdoor grill. And they season it really well. People skimp on the salt, in my opinion. You need to pre-salt that thing, put it in the refrigerator, let it sit in that salt, let it just kind of break down the meat, and then let it come to a little bit warmer, take it out of the refrigerator, let it get to room temperature, then throw it on the grill. And don't throw it for a long time, you know. Slap it, flip it, rub it down, take it off, let's eat it. That's very good. That's the special, as I mentioned, on Thursday nights here at Let It Fly Sports Bar. Speaking of Let It Fly Sports Bar, you've been asking for it. You've been waiting for it. I know people are anxious. The Let It Fly Sports Bar in Elkhorn has an opening date. It is August 30th. Yes, the day before Nebraska kicks off the 2024 season, playing UTEP. The brand new sports bar here in Omaha, Let It Fly Sports Bar Elkhorn, will open up. A lot of great specials out there. It's going to be a blast. And I don't know what it is about Let It Fly, but remember when this one opened back in 23, it was the day before the College World Series started. And now they're opening the Elkhorn location the day before college football begins and Nebraska plays on that Saturday against UTEP. So it is big times and interesting things happening for Let It Fly. And check out the bar. I know a lot of people who live out in that area have told me over and over again, we need something new out there. We need a sports bar like what we have downtown in the Capital District, and you're going to get it. And it's going to happen again August 30th. Check that out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's cool. Before we get to our guests, I want to go over a couple of headlines because they're big ones from the week. It was not a surprise for headline number one that Dylan Raiola named the starting quarterback at the University of Nebraska starting against UTEP. Not a surprise. Really, since the moment he committed, since the moment he chose to say, okay, I'm not going to Georgia. I'm going to Nebraska. From that moment, I knew at least, that he was going to be a starting quarterback. That's why he was coming here. He was coming, if he went to Ohio State, he knew, or if he went to Georgia, he knew he'd be behind a starting quarterback, a 2-year starting quarterback. He knew that. So Carson Beck. So he's like, well, I'm not going to do that. I want to play right away. So I can come to Nebraska. I can help my hometown team pretty much, being that his dad played there and his uncle coaches here. He can come here and be the savior, and start right away. Not a surprise. Even though Heinrich Harburg, won the 5 games he won last year and did some really good things. And even though Daniel Kalein's also coming in as a freshman, and is an Elite 11 quarterback and had some good moments in the spring and then also in the fall, this was Dylan's job. Dylan Raiola's job was to come here as a true freshman, 5-star quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks, either the number 1 by one service or the number 3 or whatever else. He was coming here to start. It's not a surprise. And it's a rarity. Now, recently it's happened more, right? So Adrian Martinez, of course, started as a freshman in 2018 and got hurt pretty much right. He lost the first game because of weather, got hurt in the second game against Colorado, and then missed the game against Troy, played half the game against Michigan, but finished out his freshman year. Other true freshmen playing at quarterback starting, you got to go back to Tommy Frazier, who didn't start until the 6th game of the season against Missouri. They went 4-1 to start the season, had some struggles. Mike Grant had been the quarterback, was doing okay, but they knew that they needed to get over the top, right? And getting over the top meant putting in Tommy Frazier. And that's what they did. And Tommy, you know, a little bit of rocky, true freshman year. That first game against Missouri, could have thrown a couple of picks, but they ended up winning the game. He made a big throw in the game late. And then, of course, we know what kind of career he had. 3-time national championship MVP, even in a loss, the game to Florida State in 93, the 93 season. So we know what he did. And then you have, a little bit more recent, you have Taylor Martinez, who wasn't a true freshman. He was a redshirt freshman. Taylor, as a redshirt freshman, played wide receiver, talked about a little safety. They put him at quarterback. They went, oh, maybe we have something. And then, of course, he started the 2010 season here at the University of Nebraska. So you don't get a lot of true freshmen going out there and starting here at Nebraska at any position. More now, but it was a long time before we had a left tackle. And I know that the Moore kid out of Florida did that. Not a lot of true freshmen, you know, starting on a defensive line or other places. But this makes sense. This is one of the top-rated quarterbacks. Everybody expected him to play right away, and he's going to play right away. So congratulations, Dylan Raiola. That's why you came here. Good luck on the season. And I think, obviously, he's going to have ups and downs. He's a freshman. You're going to have teams that trick him. You're going to have plays that happen that he hasn't seen yet, and he's going to learn. Every time he goes out there and makes a mistake, he's going to get better. So we're going to pick how many games Nebraska's going to win and who they're going to beat next week, the week before the game. We'll do that. I thought we were going to do it this week, but Josh couldn't be here, so we'll do it next week, and we'll go over the schedule. Last year, we both picked 6-6, even though we had it differently. I had Nebraska splitting the first 2 games, and Josh had them losing the first 2 games. But in the end, we both had them getting 6-6. Obviously, they got to 5-7. They didn't make it. But we'll do those picks next week and go over all the games. One last headline number 3. Because 2 was going to be us going over the schedule. Kirk Ferentz suspended for a game along with one of his assistant coaches. This is an interesting story. It broke on Thursday. We're taping this on Thursday. ESPN broke the story. It involved the recruitment of transfer quarterback Cade McNamara. So, you know, Cade McNamara was at Michigan, had some success, helped them to get to the college football playoff, played okay, had some injuries. Iowa goes out 3 days after he enters the portal, and they get him to come to Iowa. Well, it's a violation according to the NCAA because of the way they handle it. The suspensions are related to NCAA investigation, according to sources. And of course, Iowa is set to open up the season August 31st against Illinois State. So if coach is suspended for that, not a big deal. But it involves his recruitment along with the assistant, John Budmeyer. They both will be suspended for violations relating to the recruitment of transfer quarterback Cade McNamara, according to sources to ESPN. I'm assuming this involves the way they contacted him. The contact process for these portal guys is crazy. Like, you reach out on DM to them. Are you reaching out to an agent? Are you reaching out to a guy who was a teammate of them in high school? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. The way they did it, apparently, it looks like they broke the rules. And so you're going to get Kirk Ferentz suspended for 1 game along with one of his assistants as well. I assume it'll be the opening game of the season, August 31st. It's not a big deal. But it is one of those things, and now it's the 3rd or 4th thing that has kind of been a knock on Kirk Ferentz's legacy, right? I mean, you had some of the players who came out and very upset about the culture at Iowa and the way it handled players of color, and you had that. You've had some other issues. Obviously, you had the issue a few years ago where overtraining caused a major issue with several players, where the ribomyosis, that happened. So these are all things that have happened under Kirk Ferentz that kind of, in a way, kind of tarnish his legacy as well. And this just happens to be another one. But again, really and truly, it's no big deal at this point for the game he's going to miss. All right, coming up on the show, as I mentioned, we're going to talk to former Cornhusker, former Central Eagle, and former Northern Iowa running back who's now an assistant coach over at Omaha Central. We'll chat with David Horne when we come back here on Let It Fly Show.
On a Sunday.
Gotta go. I forgot the sausage.
You guys ready to eat? There you go.
On a Sunday.
All right, welcome back to Let It Fly Show. Again, I'm Michael Severe, and I am joined by former Omaha Central superstar running back, University of Nebraska and Northern Iowa, David Horne. How you doing, man?
How you guys doing?
It's good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Always good to see you.
I followed your career early on. I told you my wife worked in the same office as your mom over at the Med Center. Back then it was University of Nebraska Medical Center. But I want to get, before we start talking about your career of football, I want to give you props for raising a heck of a kid in David.
Okay, thank you.
My senior just graduated with him. I was at the scholarship night.
Okay.
Got that great scholarship.
Yes.
Texas Southern, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
majored in kinesiology.
Yes.
Talk him up a little bit. Tell us about
good.
young David.
David Jr. is doing well. He ended up going to what ended up happening was they had some problems with his financial aid packet at Texas Southern. So he didn't enroll at UNL actually.
Oh, okay.
We moved him in on Sunday afternoon.
Nice.
He's doing well. He's doing positive. He's looking forward to great things with him. And looking what this next year brings for him.
Yeah, he got the John Sutherland scholarship from the from Central High School, so it was one of those cool things. Obviously, he did a great job academically.
Yes.
And then your daughter, she graduated as well, right?
Yes. So my oldest daughter, Denaya, graduated from Xavier.
In Cincinnati or New Orleans?
In New Orleans. Xavier in New Orleans.
Yeah,
She graduated last year. She's doing well. She's at SC right now, Southern Cal.
Oh, wow.
Getting her doctorate in physical therapy as well.
Right.
So she's doing excellent. This will be her second year at SC. She's doing well and excelling. Also looking forward to her doing well and excelling in life as well.
One of your family members told me about her. I was over at Westside, and she's like in the scholarship office there, and she said that she was doing well.
Yeah, she's doing excellent.
That's
Denaya's
awesome,
doing
man.
well. She's going to be just fine. She has a lot of positive, a lot of momentum, and we're looking for her to do great things as well.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. David Horne joining us here on Let It Fly Show. Second year at Central?
Second year.
Second year.
I left, came back. This is my second full year back, correct.
Yeah. How'd they convince you to do this, man?
You know what? I have a passion for football, given just my background, and I think I had a conversation with a couple of coaches, and I think it was just more of they wanted to bring a group back together and see if we run it back.
Yeah.
Basically was the speech they gave to me.
Coach Mackey gave you the
Coach
speech?
Coach Mackey and Coach Muhammad.
Oh, yeah.
Them two
Abdul,
both.
yeah.
I got a close friend, Coach Daly, who was the OC. So we've been friends probably since about high school. So that three-man tag team was the one who they would convince me to come back.
All right, so you just came back from practice. We're taping this on Thursday.
Yes.
How do you feel about the season? I'm going to be at all the home games.
Okay.
My son plays the tuba in the band.
Okay.
I want to see some good football.
Okay.
Because 2 years ago, when we went that first time, you guys were struggling. Obviously, you were building the program. Then last year, you guys were much better.
Yes.
Went 4-5.
Yes.
All right, this year in the program, what do you think?
Well, definitely a lot positive. We got a lot of guys coming back. We have probably right now we're trying to put practices together back to back. Is our goal right now. We're very optimistic about this year. Got a lot of talented kids coming back on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. We got a returning quarterback, which is going to be a leader this year. So who knows? Sky's the limit. Of course, our goal is to make the playoffs and kind of go from there. And see where it takes us.
No doubt. So one of the things that really hurt the OPS schools was go back on COVID. They didn't play the whole season. And it kind of put everybody behind.
I would agree.
How do we get these city schools to catch up with the suburban schools, have that little bit of an advantage because they took so many of the city school players that year that OPS wasn't playing?
I would agree. It's going to be basically kind of up to the schools to entice the kids or convince the kids that OPS is just as good as the rest of the districts. Right now, Westside, Millard, and Gretna have the upper hand on us.
And Elkhorn.
Because of that COVID year. And a lot of it could, to be honest with you, they're transitioning to the other schools, to be honest with you, whether it's academically, whether it's sports-wise. That year probably about 2-3 years back.
Yeah. What about so obviously facilities is a big deal.
Yes.
And Westside with new locker rooms, Gretna's got a new school and all that kind of stuff. How big is that, do you think, in terms of encouraging these kids in a place where it's open enrollment and kids can go pretty much wherever they want?
I definitely think it plays a factor. with NIL, with the facilities, the way the kids are looking for how could they take advantage of the opportunity that's given to them in the schools. Facilities play a factor. Coaches, jerseys, kids that go to the schools, schedules, block scheduling. Everything, believe it or not, plays a factor in what school kids decide to go to.
Yeah, and I know a big thing at Central is this: the prestige of it's an academic school. You know that if you do well, you're going to get a scholarship or several scholarships to go to school, whether it's in state or out. So that's a big part of it too.
Correct.
Right?
I definitely agree with that. The academics play a huge role. Each school has their thing that
Their magnet.
Their magnet.
Yep.
That you lead to, whether it's magnet, whether it's education, whether it's language, whether it's engineering at North High. Every school has their thing that you lead towards you, and it just depends on the school and the kid where he wants to kind of put the direction in.
Yeah, you know, they have the advanced placement classes and a baccalaureate program there at Central. I remember they were on the stage, and the principal said $36 million of scholarships by those students in that 24 class. So it shows you when you go to school there. Let's talk a little bit about some of the close losses, because I'm watching Nebraska on Saturday.
Okay.
Whole bunch of close losses. I'm watching you guys on Friday. And the same question, I'm going to interview, matter of fact, Matt Rule tomorrow.
Okay.
And the question is, how do you get over the top? How do you go from losing the game by 3 points or 6 points to winning that same game?
Well, last year we had about three or four on our end. Okay, we had prep.
Yep.
We had North.
Yeah.
I thought we were in the Gretna game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And we had one more. The difference is this going to be leadership and experience. I think last year it was a new coaching staff.
Yeah.
It was technically a whole new program we had put together. I think last year was kind of a learning experience for us. I think this year we have a better understanding of what to expect, what to ask about our kids.
Yeah.
And also, we have a good group of seniors coming back this year. I think that'll be key with Ike, with Elijah, with BJ. I think those senior leadership should be able to take us over the top and turn those 3 or 4 losses into wins.
David Horne joining us, coaching over at Omaha Central, of course, went to Nebraska and Northern Iowa as well. Let's talk a little bit about, so you look at the players you mentioned. So you have Kylan Haney.
Kylan Haney, yes.
Elijah Wayne, who I knew him from when he was a little kid.
Yes.
Ike Ackerman and Torrey Pittman.
Yes.
So those are kind of 4 of your best players?
There will be probably our 4 core guys who we're going to lean on for leadership and make big plays for us. We have a bunch more that we're going to lean on. But those 4 are probably our 4 core lead guys going to this year.
How much did it hurt Prince transferring?
It hurt for sure.
Yeah.
No question. Prince is an excellent player.
Yeah.
I see no reason why he can't be a D1 player at some school, wherever school he decides to go to. It will make a difference. But I think with the guys coming in, with the overall camaraderie of the receiver room, we should be able to make up for it.
Yeah, and a big part of it, obviously, is discipline on the field, right? You don't want to get 15-yard penalties or silly fouls. How do you make sure, and I know it was the first year, so you had to teach those guys what you guys want to do. How do you get that done to where they don't make those silly mistakes that cost you games?
Well, this year we had more emphasis on during practice during summertime. There was conditioning drills. There was more emphasis from the coaches on making sure that we emphasize penalties, attitude, character, be mentally tough in the times where, hey, things may not go your way. You may get a bad call. You may get a good call. You have to be able to overcome where it comes at you and go into the next play.
You had a very successful high school career.
Yes.
And a number of schools coming after you. Talk about your recruiting process. Who came after you? Who offered you? Who did you visit?
Okay. I had a lot of schools. I probably had all the schools. Probably about 15, 20 schools came at me.
Yeah.
I took 4 visits. I went to Michigan, Nebraska, Iowa, and
Did you go to
Nebraska, and Colorado.
Colorado, okay.
Was the 4 I went to. Those were the 4 I went to. Right. All good schools.
Right.
What it came to at that time was I had a young child in high school. Yeah. She's in college now.
Yeah.
And that was kind of was my motivation to stay home. Yeah. I actually had a real close friend who went to Michigan, Brandon Williams, and he was kind of my ear to that school. And I had at the time Eric Bieniemy was the running back coach of Colorado. So those were the only 2 schools I would have considered. What it came down to was really those 3 schools. What it came down to is I want to stay home.
I understand.
I want to be close to my daughter, close to my friends and family. Yeah. And it worked out for the best.
Yeah, it did. I remember, though, Sandy, your mom used to leave.
Yes.
Only because I grew up in New Orleans.
Okay.
wasn't a great place because there was a lot of people around me,
Okay.
and so I had to get away
Okay.
to fix my life.
Okay.
I'm not saying you had to do that, but sometimes getting away allows you to get away from that kind of stuff. You know, you're only an
question.
hour away in Lincoln.
Question.
It's
No question.
not as easy.
Looking back, maybe I would have, maybe I would not change my mind. I don't know, but everybody's situation is different.
Oh, yeah.
I just listened to a podcast where the DM for the Giants, Kevin, I can think of his name right, number 5 for the Giants. He's from LA.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that the best thing for him was to go as far as possible.
Yeah.
Because he wanted a whole new scenery, a whole new change of thing for him to get away from his city. So everybody's different.
Yeah, sure.
In that situation.
David Horne joining us here on the Let It Fly show. Let's talk about that freshman year because it seemed like early on you were going to get redshirted.
Yes.
And then they decided, well, we're going to play you.
Yeah.
And you blew up when they played you.
Yeah.
In the end, are you sad or regret that you didn't redshirt, or how does that work out when you look back all those years ago?
You know what? I think my motto is everything happens for a reason. Our original plan was the red shirt.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what week it was, but some week where
It was week 5.
some middle.
McNeese
State was my first game.
Yep.
At some point during the season, I was a red shirt. Coach came to me and a couple of other players, and he asked us, "Hey, we're doing X, Y, Z this season. Are you interested in coming out your red shirt and playing? This is your opportunity to play. Yada yada yada." For me personally,
is this 02?
This is 02.
02, right.
This is 02.
Right,
This is 2002.
Yeah.
I looked at it as we was coming off. I remember vividly. We come up Penn State loss.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Come up Penn State loss. I think it was 41-10.
It was bad. 41-16. It was bad.
Something like that.
It was
coming
bad.
up loss. Everybody was down.
Yeah.
The whole locker room, the whole aura of the program was down. I guess they wanted to shake it up.
Yeah, sure.
So that was the way of shaking it up. They brought some freshmen, me, Fabian Washington.
Okay.
And the quarterback, Kurt Dukes.
Kurt Dukes.
Kurt
yeah.
Dukes. There
yeah,
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the 3 guys that asked were interested. We all said yes. So it was more or less of a team thing, and we wanted to play.
Yeah.
And we wanted to win.
Yeah. You were talking about Kayvon Thibodeau earlier.
Kayvon Thibodeau. That's his name.
Thibodeau, yeah.
That's his name.
It was on the tip of my tongue thinking about
Kayvon
that.
Thibodeau, correct.
So you're playing, and things are going well your freshman year.
Yes.
The freshman year ends. Obviously, 02 was a tough one, but 03, there was a lot of hope.
Yes.
Obviously, Bo Pelini comes in, defensive coordinator. There's some changes. Walk us through how that season ended up going.
To my recollection, 03 was Pelini's first year. So that
he was 04.
04.
So they brought in several new coaches in 03, gave them 2-year deals
Okay.
to kind of give Solich a chance.
Okay.
And they brought in, Pelini as a defensive coordinator. You're right.
Barney Cotton year.
Yep, exactly.
I remember now.
Yeah. Sorry.
So how from my personal opinion, it was a 3-man competition.
Yeah.
Me, Corey Ross, and Josh Davies.
Right.
Was the competition for the running back position.
yeah.
We battled out through spring, going to the season. I think I was in the mix going to the season. I think I played probably the first half of the season. At some point, middle of the season, I saw my playing time diminish for whatever reason. And then we ended the year not playing that much. I think Corey took over.
Yeah, Pork Chop did, yeah.
Probably about week 5 or 6. He ran with it.
He did.
He ran with it. And we ended that year going to the Alamo Bowl and playing Michigan and beating Michigan, I believe, in the Alamo game. I believe so.
I think in 03, you guys beat Northwestern.
Northwestern,
Northwestern,
okay.
Yeah, 'cause I think you beat the hell out of them.
Was it pretty bad?
Because if I'm not mistaken, Bo was the interim coach because they fired Solich after the Colorado game. They made Bo interim coach because, of course, he had been the defensive coordinator. And you guys, I'm pretty sure you beat up on Northwestern.
You know who it was? I think it was Michigan State.
That's right. You're right. It's Michigan State.
I think it was Michigan State. It was Sparty.
Michigan State.
It was
yeah.
Sparty.
You took care of them. Yeah,
yep,
you did.
I do remember that now.
Yes. It's funny how I used to remember like everything, dude.
We getting old,
and now
sir.
I'm like,
we getting old, my
I'm
man.
in my
Time
50s, man. I can't
flying by.
remember everything. So that season ends. Obviously, they fired Solich. They're bringing in Bill Callahan. What was your decision on to do next?
That was a tough one for me. I really didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I did think about transferring. I did reach out to a couple of schools and kind of gauge interest for a few schools. Ultimately, I decided to stay because I thought that Callahan was bringing a professional thing to Nebraska. I want to go to the pros. I thought his style of offense fit my skill set to the most as far as catching and running the ball.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons I stayed. Hey, NFL guys coming to Nebraska. What better way to put my name on the map to have this guy vouch for me if I'm able to live up to expectations.
Yeah. So when did you decide to move on to Northern Iowa?
It was after the season.
Yeah.
I didn't play that much that year. And then after the season, I had a discussion with my dad, and I kind of ultimately said, hey, I have 1 year left.
Yeah.
Do I want to wait this thing out? Do I want to leave now? Ultimately, I decided to go Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be a good decision.
Yeah, you talk about that system, and I look at what Marlon Lucky did in that system, catching 70-some balls.
Yes.
That's certainly something you could have done.
Yes, that definitely was my ideal. Marlon Lucky and I had very similar skill sets.
Yeah.
That was my thinking going into it.
When you look at the University of Nebraska now, after leaving and going somewhere else, and obviously living here, you still follow them closely? Do you still pay attention to what's happening in the program?
Definitely still a good big fan. Always be a fan of Nebraska.
Yeah.
I still go to games. Close friend of mine, my old roommate, Mark LaFleur.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Mark LaFleur, he's back in town, so I go to games with him. We still chicken chat. He's a big fan.
Yeah.
So, yes, I just still do follow. Still a big fan. Still engaged.
Yeah.
I just went to the spring game this year. I went to a game 1 year with Mark a couple years ago. So as my schedule frees up, I find myself going more and more games.
He's working for Douglas County, doesn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I
like
believe so.
juvie services
I believe
maybe or something like that.
That's Big Mark's dad.
Oh, that's his dad. Okay.
That's his dad.
Didn't his dad own a clothing shop?
That's the uncle.
The uncle, okay.
That's K. That's the uncle. It's a whole bunch of
them.
them.
The floor coach is like on 24th Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the uncle.
I remember under Bill Callahan, we had this thing where if they brought certain wide receivers in, you knew it was a running play because they brought in Pilkington, they brought in Mark LaFleur, like they're running the ball.
They're running the ball.
And when they brought the other wide receivers in, they're throwing the ball. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yes.
What did you think of Bill? What did you think of Coach Callahan? He's an interesting dude.
You know what? Definitely interesting.
Yeah.
He's nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah.
I felt like he was definitely one of the better coaches I had. I thought X's and O's.
Yeah.
Very smart, very intelligent. I feel like this thing was really real personal. He was all business all the time.
Yeah.
And I think in a college game at that point in time, you have to be able to be more personal with your players, have more relationship with your players than he had.
Yeah.
I think he tried to bring the NFL to Nebraska, and Nebraska just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah, I did a show with Joe Gans for a while.
Okay.
And Joe would talk about how, after Callahan left that day, that was the day after the Colorado game in 2007, he never heard from him again. Like, they had a relationship. He obviously was one of his quarterbacks. Never heard from him again. Never called him. Nothing. Just like you said, all business.
All business.
All business. Yeah.
Nice guy. Very smart. Probably, I guess he one of the best O-line coaches
Still.
in NFL history. He still got a job. He'll keep a job for life.
Yeah. He's actually working for his son now.
Oh, for his Titans.
He's working for his kid. His
That's
son,
crazy.
Callahan. Yeah, Brian Callahan.
That's crazy. Yeah. So, no hard things to say about him. He was an excellent coach. He knew X and O, excellent.
Yeah.
Drew up plays, terminology, creating plays, screen schemes.
Yeah.
It was off the charts. I think he's down for it. He just couldn't be personal with his players.
I sat with him once as he was going through with us, setting up plays to score in the red zone. And he had the red zone broken into these different quadrants. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, how do they not score? Because it seemed perfect.
Perfect down.
Perfect every time.
Written down, scheme, draw a play up to masterpiece.
Yeah. Let's talk about Northern Iowa and how things went there.
Good experience. I've never heard about the school until I went up there. Definitely positive experience. I went up there. I was up there a year and a half. I got up there in fall of 2005.
Yeah.
Went in there with Coach Farley. We ended up going to season starting off kind of struggling. I think started off probably 500 or under 500. The running back got hurt. That put me into the starting position.
Yeah.
And we kind of took off from there.
Yeah.
Ended up breaking some records.
Led the team in rushing.
Led the team in rushing. Let's bring touchdowns. Ended up going to the championship game in 1AA and losing to App State and then kind of a bar burner.
Yeah, that's rough, man. I went to Sam Houston State, and while I was there, we lost 2 Division 1AA titles games, and then since then they've lost 3.
Wow!
They finally won one during that spring league.
Okay.
Remember that year during COVID when they had spring?
I do.
They won that one, but yeah, it's tough, man. You get the champion, you do all that fighting, you go through those playoffs and to lose. And was it in Frisco, Texas?
Now, our game was in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
At University of Tennessee, Chattanooga was a game. They had T.O. come down and do something at halftime.
Oh, that's cool.
But definitely good experience for sure. For sure.
So after that, one of the hard things I know sometimes is giving up the game because you've been playing your whole life.
Yes.
How did that transition work for you?
It was tough. Of course. What happened with me was after I left UNI, I had a couple of trials NFL, a couple of trials CFL. Never really manifested. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to keep trying? I playing for the Beef.
Indoor football?
For a couple of years, 2-3 years with Steve Warren.
Yeah.
He was the head coach then. I knew him because of Nebraska.
Yep.
So did for a couple of years, and I think I got hurt one year. my foot or something, and it took a long time for me to come back. The next year, I just wasn't feeling it.
Right.
And after a while, the older you get, the injuries come sooner and faster. They last around longer. So I was probably about my mid-20s. So I just won't do it no more.
Yeah. I know that you're doing assistant coaching at Central, but what else you doing? What's going on?
So right now I work for myself. I do commercial cleaning. I have my own commercial cleaning business.
Oh, cool.
Called More for Less. We do more for less.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we do right now full time.
How many employees you have?
Right now we have about 2 or 3.
Okay, cool.
It's basically being a family, a couple of employees, people I know from back in the day.
Nice.
We're going around. We're trying to just clean buildings and keep people's facilities clean.
How'd you come up with that idea? 'Cause everybody really wants to work for themselves.
Yes.
Eventually. How'd you come up with the idea to set up something for you to be able to do that?
You know what? To be honest with you, my dad used to have a cleaning business back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Probably about 10, 20 years ago. That's where the initial thought process came about.
Yeah.
My grandma also had a catering business. I was just thinking of what can I do?
Yeah.
What intrigues me? I had a conversation with a friend who recently started a business, and I thought about it a little bit, and I said, I'm going to go for it.
Nice. Got a prediction for Nebraska record this year?
You know what? I think we're going to be good, surprisingly.
Okay, so good is 8 wins, or just getting to a bowl, or is it something else?
I'm going to say between 8 and 9 wins.
Between 8 and 9 wins.
Would be my guess. What's the 8 and 4, 9 and 3?
8 and 4, 9 and 3, yeah.
So that'd be my guess.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about this year. I think that similar to us, last year was a new coaching staff.
Yep.
New program.
True.
They're kind of lied to the weeds.
Lost close games.
Lost close games, 3 or 4. I think their story will be similar to ours. Well, I think this year they should be a turnaround.
Yeah.
And turn at least half of those close losses to wins.
Right.
That'll be a difference.
You look at Colorado and what Prime is doing there.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been a hatred between Nebraska and Colorado forever.
Yeah.
Thoughts on week 2?
I don't know. I'm up in the air about that.
Yeah.
I just had somebody ask me yesterday about that game.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm leaning towards Nebraska.
I hope so.
Because we're the home team. It's at the crib. But right now, I'm probably about 55-45 on that prediction.
Okay.
I'm thinking close game, maybe by a touchdown, field goal if we're able to. But Colorado's going to be a good team. They got a Heisman Trophy quarterback coming in.
Definitely. Yep.
They got Travis Hunter.
Yep.
Coach Prime's going to be in his A game.
I know.
So
night game, national television.
It's a lot. It's a lot going to it. I'm optimistic.
I know.
But I'm saying we should be able to pull it off in a close game.
Yeah, they better win that game.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of mess talking since last year.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of it.
Oh,
and
yeah. Back
the
and
only
forth.
way you back it up
You got to get the dub.
is you get the dub. There's
Got
no
to.
doubt. Yeah. David, we appreciate it, man.
problem.
Thank you. Good luck this year with Omaha
appreciate
Central.
it.
I'm serious. I want to see some wins, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit there at games. I'm there for the halftime, but I want to watch football.
We're going for
watch
about
some good football.
We're going about 6-7 runs this year, man. We're going to try to go about 6-7 wins.
And get in the playoffs.
And see what we can do. Honestly,
All right.
I'm optimistic. I think this may be a year where we turn around and make some noise.
I look forward to that. I hope so. Abdul's a good dude.
No
always
question.
nice to me. Always
Yes.
been friendly. And so I wish the best for you guys.
Yeah, wish us luck. See you guys out in our first game on August 30th.
Yep. It's a tough schedule, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You got a tough schedule.
Yeah, tough schedule.
You
Yeah.
got Creighton Prep. You got
Yes.
Bellevue West.
Yes.
West Side too.
Middle North.
The 3. Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
Yeah.
It's a tough schedule.
Yeah, man. We're looking forward to. Hopefully, we'll be able to have a good year this year, man.
Yeah. Be a tough team. Beat tough teams.
Yes, for sure.
All right.
That's the
David
goal.
Horne. We appreciate him.
Thank you, guys.
Fly Show. We want to thank David Horne for joining us and talking about Omaha Central, the old days at Nebraska, and his career overall. We appreciate him. It is really hard to be good in the Omaha Public Schools right now. Omaha North has kind of kept it. Larry Martin's kept it in place. But if you look at what's happened to Burke, Central's trying to battle back now. Obviously, what's happened with Benson over the years and what's happened with Brian and that. But it is really hard right now to win because a lot of the talent's going to West Side. It's going to Elkhorn. Gretna's got the new school. You got Millard schools and all that competition. And kids can go where they want, because open enrollment. Long as there's a spot there, they can go there. It makes it very difficult. But we'll be cheering for Omaha Central this year. I'll be at the home games as my son is the tuba player this year after playing a baritone last year. So we'll enjoy that. We want to thank David Horne for taking his time. Next week on the show, we're going to do a Husker preview. Now, we're not taping until Friday, so it'll come out Saturday morning before the game. We're going to go over the games, pick them. Josh and I will. We'll also interview Mike Rozier, former Husker running back, Heisman Trophy winner, of course. We'll chat with Mike about his thoughts on the upcoming season. We'll look back at some great times at Nebraska as well. We'll chat with Mr. Mike Rozier next week on the show and preview the season, get our picks in and everything as well. Also, thank you to our executive producer, Mr. McLean, as well. Phil, for setting this up today. Actually, hold on. I set this up today. Thank you to Phil for setting up Mike Rozier next week. That'll work. We got the King, right? Val Elvis, who is going to be on. He's obviously running the show and taping everything. We appreciate him as well. And everybody else that helps out with the show. Of course, thank you very much to Let It Fly. Reminder again, August 30th, opening of Let It Fly Elkhorn. That's going to open up. It's going to be awesome. That's a Friday night. I'm sure it'll be rocking. And then Saturday, Nebraska's first game against UTEP as well. Also, thank you to Bud Light, our presenting sponsor. No matter where you're watching the game, no matter where you're hanging out, have yourself a Bud Light. Again, easy drinking, easy buckets for basketball, easy touchdowns for football, easy to drink and easy to enjoy. Thank you to Bud Light for being our presenting sponsor. Again, reminder, wherever you watch the show, if you watch it on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening to it on one of your podcast services, wherever it is, like and subscribe as well. Make a comment. We really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll check you out next week for our Husker preview show here on Let It Fly.